Yes,
You're
please.
on the stage.
Thank you, and welcome everybody tuning in at 1 o'clock, just after the lunch break. Perhaps you've seen a lot of people this morning in room 1 or room 2. It was a great morning for the bits and pieces that I've seen. I would like to welcome you to building your data-driven community and govern your resources. It's my first time, and it gave me an opportunity to rethink my storytelling, and I want to give you some value and takeaways so you can be some better and get new ideas for at your job or other opportunities. And maybe you've seen it while waiting peacefully in a Mentimeter questionnaire. I would like to know you a little bit, and you will see the QR code in just a bit. It's not you can do it voluntarily. Yeah, well, your mics are already muted. Thank you. And if possible, you can turn your camera on at your own convenience. Please put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. And you can find me on LinkedIn. We'll share the profile later on. I want to have a big shout out to all the new stars of data. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And in the way on my way over here for the past years, I've learned a lot from and gained support from the Fabric community and Microsoft MVPs, about mostly people that are enthusiastic about data. Big shout out and thank you for mentoring me and giving me growing into this story. And I have a lot of experience with fellow volunteers at different communities and events. Thank you, and also the Power BI user group, and last but not least, the people at Royal Heijmans. I will tell you in a bit more about them. This is my employer who supports me and the colleagues who support me, and where I have gained some enterprise experience with data, Fabric, Power BI mostly. But I will tell you a little bit about myself later on. The agenda, who are in this meeting. We have I have a story about what Heijmans is about, the place that I work at, and what we are doing of managing and shaping Fabric, and Fabric also read like Power BI in this case, the Fabric adoption so far. So also read Power BI in this sense. We just started out using Fabric, and I will tell you something about implementation design. I hope what you take away from this session is knowing about what's data culture and executive sponsorship. What is the Fabric administrator about? Owning a Fabric capacity, what it means, understanding the capacity metrics a little bit more, choosing a data architecture for your projects or organization, and what the Fabric adoption roadmap is, and how we can help. I hope this session helps you to grow your community so that you are having more fun and results together. I just entered the Mentimeter before this session. Let's see if I can get this right and show you some of the results. And yes, this works, but no results. Let's see if I can update my slides. Doesn't do. Okay, well, it gives some results here, mostly from a commercial. It's getting about to know your audience, and I want to get to know you a little bit more. What is the size of your organization? Well, between 100 and larger organizations. And because you can imagine that for large enterprises which are focusing on a little bit here, I can imagine that on a smaller organization size, an adoption of data-driven working and with Microsoft Fabric and Power BI ask different resources. And mostly engineers on the sessions. Good to know that there are no owners or managers here. Maybe they are. I will tell you a little bit more about it. There are no IT or administrators here, no financial, so we can spend as many money. But I will tell you something about cost effectiveness. And thank you for choosing my session about more architecture and governance, but I will deviate a little bit on the analytical side and engineering side, and less on the visualization today. And there are great sessions planned for this morning about visualization. And well, what are we looking for in Fabric? New technology, shiny tool, promising another world, expanding BI skills, and simplicity. Well, I will tell you about what our experience is later on. I'm Eduard Koekkoek. I was born in the 1980s. You're talking to me live. It's a little joke. I'm from Nijmegen. It's in the Netherlands, somewhere between Amsterdam and Düsseldorf in Germany. I work at Royal Heijmans. It's a construction company in the Netherlands. I'm working as an entrepreneur, self-employed with a heart for arts in cultural sector, podium arts. And I'm mainly in IT, general IT professional generalist, and I work with Fabric and the community. Power BI community and enabling creators with Power BI and Fabric Azure growing their products from a central perspective at the IT department in Heijmans. Gosh, Excel. Yeah, I come from the business, so I've been in Excel since I was 12. I was already opening my spreadsheets, working with Power BI since the early days, going from Excel to Power BI, and for the past 4 years, I'm working cloud only with adding as an Azure data engineering and improving my engineering skills. And my favorite data source are the Power BI REST APIs, and you can ask me anything about that. I'm with my partner for 19 years. I love data, tech, people, music, organizing things, and I play the flute. And I love stories. I'm a series fanatic, and I like John Cleese, for instance, in Faulty Towers. Please find me on LinkedIn, and let's dive into the good stuff. Heijmans is founded in 1923, passed the 100-year mark last year, and 5,000 employees under our umbrella. Almost 300 million, over 300 million in assets, and we're active in properties, buildings, infrastructure, roads, waterways, and small housing, big housing projects, and large buildings you see around cities. So building a complete city is what we do at Heijmans. And I've been around there for 2 years in their service, before that as a consultant, and they're practicing about 5 years in Power BI. Well, it's important to think about what attracted me to Heijmans, what they have clear minds, views, and a mission on what they wanted to be as a company. So they announced their new strategy. They are working on new strategies and how can we get to 2030 and creating a healthy living environment together. And they're focusing on how to make what makes people happy, and the mindset is we go into a project and we give more than we have to take away. And all the steps that we do it together. Albeit sometimes it can mean difficult steps. Say goodbye to your darlings. I experienced that, and but doing it together and doing it for the good reasons. That's what they're all about. And working in a smarter way, and be inspired and be open to new technology or people and talents that come along, and the vision that will help your organization to create a sense of direction as a group, as a whole, like working with data-driven digitalization. I heard all these kinds of terms. But get conversation going with your management and board of directors if their vision is not clearly smart descripted. That's very important. Some of the success stories in data or in Power BI project that I've seen in the past 3 years was less or more involved in is like a digital twin, a complete digital representation of the project or infrastructure outside. So the roads and the intersections, bridges, in waterways. You want to know about the measurements on a streaming data kind of way, and you want to have signals when something goes wrong, and you want to analyze over a larger period of time. In buildings, we facilitate the building owners with exploiting their buildings better, safer, healthier, like with sensory information, like is person present, is what's the temperature outside, what's the oxygen levels. So taking care of the energy bills, making we progressing with making buildings more efficient and turn the lights a little bit more than turning the lights off when you leave. For different parts of the company, everybody is developing in its own pace. So in finance, the International Business Communication Standard is for, generally speaking, to standardize your way of reporting in finance. So the controllers and the consolidation of all the reports in the company make them look more similar and proactive with measurements like a little bit more like year to date versus last year to date. But in Zebra BI, check them out on their website. It's more about less colors, easy to use visuals built on Power BI. Last, but there are more projects to name, but safety is the most important themes in your company have the highest chance of getting them more digital and data driven. Like in construction, we want to get home safe from the construction site, and we want to get home all of our people without accidents in an ideal world. And if an accident happens, we want to learn from it and document it, and that's in a program called Go. And we get data from all kinds of sources, but the reports are shared and are on weekly, monthly, and quarterly assemblies. The people come together and work together. How can we create a more safer workplace? The top two causes for accidents are falling from high distance, from heights, and getting electrocuted. And we want to prevent that. So that are clear goals that will help in your project, your pilots, and where beautiful things can grow from. Just a small disclaimer. This is not necessarily Heinel's opinion. It's just on me. And I hope that I make you enthusiastic enough, but not too enthusiastic, so you sustain a personal injury. So get your own safe workplace. Well, something about the managing firewall. You get tools that an administrator, it can be a system administrator, it can be an IT department, it can be one Power BI engineer that grown into the role of Power BI administrator and then became a Fabric administrator. The Fabric administrator, we're talking about Microsoft Fabric, and I've shown a little screenshot about it. And you have means that you can control and get to your tenant. The control for your tenant, the tenant being your domain name. You have Microsoft clouds like with 365, Dynamics, and SharePoint, Power BI, and they all have tenant settings, which mean that you turn on or turn off some functionality or limit the functionality to a particular group. On one screen, that's a nice thing about Power BI. You can, as from a central perspective, you can also delegate some responsibilities into the business. But where is the ideal drop-off point for some of the responsibilities? Well, with gateways and connections, the user experience, organization visuals, these are things that you want to have a central opinion policy for what sort of liberties and responsibilities we want to share within our organization, and how can IT department facilitate that with an idea of architecture on your workspace domains and capacities, and how you have your data governance set up, and some definitions on what sensitive or featured content is. Power BI and Fabric provide the means in the portal as you are logged in as a Fabric administrator. This is a role in Azure. You can. I have in the last slide of the presentation, I have shared some links with you so that you don't have to write this down, and this is recorded. But in the Microsoft Learn About Fabric, you can see how your tenant is set up, and the Fabric administrator plays a vital role in that. When we are leaving when we are in the tenant and we have set up our tenant, we can choose to how we want to use Power BI. So everybody can use a free Power BI license. It's a free Fabric license since last year, and then you have the Pro license, the premium per user license. I will tell you about licensing in a bit later, a little bit more. But the basis for this in our scenarios is using Fabric capacities. So the capacity is basically computing power. It's delivered from the Azure portal. So when you are already set up your place in Power BI, no worries. You can go to this link, https portal.azure.com. Your organization is in Microsoft Cloud, and then your global administrator can sign on. Fabric administrators, and both global administrators as Fabric administrators can set up Fabric capacities in Azure. Well, at least you need to think about using Azure when you're sure that you want to work in the cloud, and then you need to do some assigning of roles and buy a capacity. The capacity comes in a price range between 200 or 300 euros, and you can make it 3,000 or 4,000 euros a month. Like F2s, they're called F SKUs, and you can start from an F2 SKU capacity on which you can assign workspaces to. You assign workspaces to a capacity. The capacity is it's something that is easily bought. So, but owning the capacity is a different story. Talk within your organization about who is going to control this capacity and who's going to own this capacity. And typical owner responsibilities could be responsible for the usage, the invoice. You have a particular, if you buy an F2 SKU, you get a monthly fix. But what if you run out of capacity on a daily basis and you need to upscale a capacity? Who are you talking to? Yeah, who is controlling the invoices and how are you going to present the usage? You need to usually what we've done is in the Fabric, we piloted Fabric as a new product, and we start small, containerized, not a lot of people on it. We sort out use cases where we think that it will improve on, and getting a small capacity assigned to it if the trial is when the trial finishes, because the trial you can currently use Fabric on trial basis, so you can get to know usage and get you through the metrics app, and what a Fabric capacity actually means when you're delivering your data refreshes and your when the reports are used. And this adds it doesn't add up in a during the trial period. It does not add into invoices yet, but it will help you to scale, to research how much you want to put into Fabric. Last but not least, some typical when you buy the capacity in Azure, you not like other resources in Azure, you buy it in a region, like a nearby data center. That is Amsterdam, West Europe for us, and we organize it in a resource group where our department is working in. And we've learned that, well, one engineer is no engineer, one owner is no owner. When you set up your pilot, when you set up your trial, when you set up your project, what you expect some benefits coming from, share this ownership. So because that's good for conversation, not building up a tunnel vision, but what are the actual benefits that we experience, and what is it? Does it fit our our sense of the is it actually better than the way we're working before? Fabric gives the option to do some access control, like in Azure, so you can use groups through that routing. So that's like security groups. You can add in more than one user, and through something called access control, and you can set the sizing of the SKU in Fabric from F2 to F4, and please, I can just start. I can just enthusiastically tell you that, and I would like to motivate you. Just give it a try and scale for what you're actually managing, and in a contained space that can be on your domain, on some workspaces that you restrict access to. In the tenant settings, you can add a specific group of people that can use Fabric, and you can limit who can add workspaces to that capacity, and you can do control about you do some control about workloads. What does my usually a day look like? I get in my role there are about 350 creators or users that actually do something with Power BI, in the sense that they create something, share something, enrich something in Power BI, combine something, and I get a lot of questions, or we get a lot of questions. Our team, both in the business and in IT, get questions about, oh, something is not working, or oops, something went wrong. For an administrator, if we are starting to use Power BI and Fabric, check out the product status dashboard. Be aware of the known issues that are already there in the world. Microsoft shares a specific list, or what are the known issues. So sometimes the error messages, descriptions, will give you a description that you will be able to find as a known or issue, or you can find it on a blog or on a forum. And this will help that, oh, we are aware of this issue, before you have to look elsewhere for why is this bug issue happening, when it's not simply the filters in the dashboard, because being a reason for where an error message is shown to the dashboard user. Be aware of the capacity settings, and the capacity settings will give you, you can in Power BI, I just discussed some of the capacity settings, but you can limit or limit the usage of the capacity per project. So nobody can exceed, for instance, a limit of 1 gigabyte on a data refresh, or on if you have a notebook, and you can not use more than a particular amount of nodes. This you can set on the capacity level, as well as on workspace level. But be aware of what the settings you've made with your team, and make them public. So you can do this, making the settings, the current settings, available through a SharePoint page or in a Power BI dashboard, will help your users and workspace owners to be aware, oh, this is happening, this error is meeting of this throttling is happening because of a capacity or a workspace setting. And my favorite friend on a daily basis is the capacity metrics app in Power BI. So maybe I can jump over a little bit to the surface, what this looks like. The capacity metrics is a standard app. And you can find this in the App Store from within Power BI and Fabric. And the metric steps you can add, it will show each capacity owner the status of its capacity. So, and this, as if you start with a trial, or you have a premium SKU, or you have F2 SKU, it will show all of the metrics. Well, all of the metrics, most metrics in the standard app, and it's all about how is my capacity used, and it has about, for instance, F2 has 2 cores, and or the premium, which will have 8 cores, P1 give 8 cores, for instance, and they are divided in front end and back end, calling interactive usage, consuming the reports, consuming the dashboards, clicking on it. That's called interactive, and the other half of the processors are about data refresh. And so the SKU gives you an amount of resource compute power. This is being calculated in consumption units and seconds, and it will add up onto a 24-hour period for every thread in a core that provides the compute power. You have an amount of consumption units, and you basically, within the fixed price that you have and the fixed amount of processing power, you want to stay within the 100%. And then I'm typically looking for who is using the capacity most. And this is called the noisy neighbor problem, that because you're sharing like a databasing, you're through APIs, for instance, you're using the same server, or you're using the same database. You want to control the usage because you want to prevent your main services to be undisturbed. The reasons why you bought the SKU, why you bought the capacity, the compute power, it was a business case, for instance, about your most important reports on safety or finance, and you gave away some of the workspaces to your colleagues in the business so they can use the premium or the effort or the fabric capacity, and you want to manage their consumption rates. And let me jump to the surface a little bit. For a little bit, is that you can find this on the apps screen, where you can find your capacity metrics apps. Is already installed here, and what I've done to share this, what we've done to share this responsibility of get to know these consumption units. I'm sharing with the colleagues in the business what their consumption is, and the app fabric capacity metrics. You can share this, and this screen has about some information on the past 30 days only. If you want to do a history, we have to do a little bit more how to save the data, but basically on a 30-day basis, you can get a lot of information on how the usage is progressing. For instance, we see an average of 40-45%, and sometimes jumping onto the 70%. Data refresh, that's the blue part. And in the weekends, we're doing a lot of the refreshes, and so we can save consumption. The red is based on the consumption by users just interacting with the dashboards, and that's in the red. And sometimes we have a peak, and we can discover what is going on. And I thank you, Dirk. The Microsoft Fabric Capacity app is found through the App Store, and then get apps. Thank you, Benny, and search for capacity method. I think it's already installed, or yeah, I have one version installed at this moment. That's this is basically it, and it's available for you today. So we can Microsoft delivers a little bit more on this to facilitate you as an admin or as a community enthusiast, and growing and getting people involved. And that's the maybe usually once a week I dive into the admin monitoring screen and see how much my workspace is being used. An activity being an online activity. Power BI desktop is not necessarily an online activity. When you're not good, you can use it. You can use desktop offline, but the activity which are shown in the metrics apps and the activity log. You can find activity log as a Power BI REST API telling you about who was active. And you can only do this for your own workspaces, or as an administrator, you need to have the Fabric administrator role. Do it for your own, through your administrative account, or even better, use a service principal for that. And what I'm interested about, how is my my creators that do contribute to with all kinds of semantic models, notebooks, or with reports. I want to we give them some freedom to do that themselves, but some people are not very good at cleaning up after themselves, so I want to help them out. Some people have a Power BI Pro license, but they only use it once every quarter. And so I can get this idea, if you do it only once a quarter, maybe you can automate your job and help you with this. And then we, on the other side, on the other axis, we see how much is a report consumed. Is it an effective report that's used by a large group of people and gives us a lead to ask some questions, get involved, and get a conversation going with the creator. Or you maybe having a good idea. Can we help you, because this is not on our data platform, which I will tell you later about. This is also can help you, for instance, with purchasing your Pro license. And at one particular point, you may have so many users creators that it's cheaper to buy a premium license where readers can use Power BI and Fabric for free. On the other side of admin monitoring is your inventory, because something can be there, but it's not being used. So this typically happens with prototyping and people not cleaning up properly, or we expect something to be used, but it's not used. So you will not find an activity on that. So doing our workspace governance, and managing the life cycle of all of the items inside workspaces, we are interested in how actively are things used and what is not actually used, or even orphaned, because constantly people are leaving and coming into the organization. And as an admin in the workspaces, you have this admin monitoring automatically added to your Fabric administrator role. And this is called feature usage and adoption. And it tells you something about, so if you have the Fabric administrator role on your account, I am logged in with that account, and then this admin monitoring automatically comes up in my screen. And I can see I have about 1,300 active users in the past 30 days. And there are 9 capacities at the moment, and we have about 900 workspaces. Ooh, that's a little bit, that's a lot. I can't imagine that being used. And you can clearly see the weekends when usually only automated activities are in there. And I see a bunch of filters that I can dive into and also explore this data, or create a new report on this data. And it's a little bit a deep dive for now, but the activities, the list of activity, find activity log in Power BI, and a thing called activity, or a thing called operation, is the complete list of all of the. You find a library on Microsoft Learn about this, and also automated activities are in there, like generate data flow SAS token, and this can cloud my judgment a little bit. And this is why I want, if I want to focus on active users, then I don't need this activity in there. When I jump into the inventory, then I can see I have a more deep dive in how many workspaces are actively being used, being active, being one activity happened in the past 30 days, and how many items are there actively used within the workspace. And we obviously need to do some cleanup, and where are the most activity being done. And well, the domain is an interesting question, and the workspace levels. Workspaces are usually can be set in the domains, and all items that you have as a domain administrator, you can see only the workspaces and items in that domain. I don't think domain is already active in the, you can't, it's not specifically a filter in this item, but if you only have, sorry, I'm not sure if we can customize this, but thank you, Nikki, and I will get back to you on your question later on, how you can actually see basically in a domain, it's a collection of workspaces that is combined by functional or departmental reasons, but it's a work in progress. Thank you, Benny. 80 minutes. Thanks. We have in Fabric, we are looking for some improvements of our data landscape, consisting of Databricks basically and a SQL. It's our IT department has we do a lot of structured data, but there's more semi-structured data coming up, and the Fabric seems to offer a simplification of this landscape. So we have a backbone architecture using SQL Server with a time extender company doing repositories and a UI for engineers, especially for large organizations. Time extender and repository can be of some benefit, but more and more data is coming us streaming, binary, semi-structured, and data science. And well, it's great to see that the Parquet format is being used through this this platform, and can work with seamlessly with our SQL server. And in our current pilot and fast track, we are looking at using event streams and a KQL database for streaming data and making it available through query sets and a lakehouse to Power BI in batch. So do you need streaming data or not? That's an important question in your adoption, and to manage this demand in your architecture. And doing semi-structured data, our central data platform in the SQL Server is the first product that we offer to all of our departments inside the company, which use like the largest data sources. But this can be added into use through Fabric and safe environment. We expect, like with the recently involved mirror feature from SQL Server to Fabric Data Warehouse, where the data can be enriched through notebooks or used in streaming data on top of streaming data, giving like getting into the operational domain a little bit and getting signals to the users that something is happening out of the expected boundaries. And in the SQL Server, we have an understanding that we usually have the information used for analytical purposes up to a day until yesterday. So for creating your architecture is a very important step in your vision. What kind of scenarios are we going for in the fabric? You don't have to do this on your own. Thank you for joining us in this session, learning about adoption. And Microsoft helps with how data-driven working, digitalization, and how to do with Power BI for an enterprise in an organization. It's called the Adoption Roadmap. Roadmap has been there for a long time. It's on Microsoft Learn. And some of the it's usually when you're in a company, it's usually not a green playing field with where you can start over from scratch. You have culture, you have habits, you have all kinds of investments already done. You don't have the people for that to do the engineering. You have to maybe buy in some consultants. And but it's important to have the clear strategy and the vision and the sponsorship by somebody in the board of directors of owners that says we want to achieve this with digitalization, and this should be embedded into the company, and that's not gone over one day. What we do is think about when creation starts. My coworker Mark told me last week it's about creation starts when a bridge is being made between business objective and enthusiastic engineers. You can imagine engineers being enthusiastic about their products and they're building something, showing something, and they're doing. But if the owner or manager does not see an alignment with their current business objects, that's work gone to. It's a high risk that the work is gone to waste. But some consultants in the middle has to do the business alignment, and that's what we use. In my experience, we do it. That's from the central IT department is leading this way, but there are some units inside the company that are also pushing or thriving to work together on the engineering part and doing some great projects in Power BI and recently also in Fabric. But what's the strength of growing into your companies, giving leeway to your enthusiastic engineers? And I made that a little bit red. What helps us doing this? Community of practice, giving the right user support, and mentoring and user enablement. So we of course have the basic stuff that people can you can already do tomorrow or next week and the next month, the next quarter, is use Power BI and give people the perspective that you can already use free Fabric license and you have to get in my workspace. But then when a project is getting interesting and you want to share, then you need a pro license, of course. And when people are only interested in reading and using dashboards, we do this via apps. This method architecture will help you go with a steady pace instead of direct links. From instance, sharing a dashboard from a report perspective, and then this gives more maintenance. Use an app, I would suggest, and use the already built in the tenant settings. Will help you giving your own company links for instance, a help center, using a specific data catalog or using capacity and metrics. And we offer this as featured content. This is an option. You can put it in a dashboard as a featured content on everybody's home screen, so they can get used to where can I find the data, and how is my as an administrator or contributor, how is it consuming the capacity. We have about we have an active group of enthusiastic people, and we use Viva Engage, Jammer, formerly, where we call it Power BI and Fabric community, that has where we interact with each other with good ideas that people are sharing with each other, because all of our colleagues are spread out over the country, and they don't always see their colleagues on a specific location because they move around. Viva, a community platform, enables a conversation, a popular topic like a blog, and we usually see about a lot of questions about a data platform, and question on how to do things. We make it open. Everybody can join this community. We use SharePoint as a public library for where people can find the good stuff. The last period quarter, about 50 people, newbies joined about creating new content, and we help them through training, templates, and an easy platform where you can put your request for pro licenses or for premium capacity, and we can get the conversation going. And we have one URL where people can go to. So a portal, you can, instead of SharePoint, you can also use a dedicated use company portal. Get involved with your managers or your IT department. With what are the services that we want to provide that so I can, as an administrator or a community driver or as an engineer, that I'm looking to ways to automate some requests done. This can be done like distributing the latest version of Power BI Desktop automatically. People can download it from a portal. Get your pro license requests automated, get your workspaces to premium, to another capacity or to a domain, see how this can be automated, or on the data governance side of things, give access to data, so you can give access to reports and dashboard, but that not necessarily mean access to the data itself. If you want to distribute the data and be in respect to regulations, data sensitivity, data ownership, data quality, put that into the business and have a workflow and a portal that gives access to semantic models, for instance. And so a user actually username being placed into a group, and the group has been given access to that semantic model, but one or two people, like the manager and one owner of the data, is approving, well, I need access to that data. And think about how your support is organized with help requests. How does it go to your engineer, so you're not overflown with support requests, like small problems or big problems or bugs. Think how to use a service portal, for instance, with a dedicated group of people, and maybe a first line support is working, second line, third line, perhaps, so you can log also your support request, and maybe change requests evolve from that. I'm very fond and enthusiastic about the Academy. Academy is a container synonym used to provide courses on Power BI and Fabric. We encourage learning. We do this in using Microsoft Learn, of course, but also we have to create a company organization way of thinking on those projects, how we use Fabric or Power BI. So we designed a curriculum, a career path for that through our HR departments, and we obviously have a standard curriculum, but we also do custom workshops. Use a challenge on Microsoft Learn. You can contact your Microsoft representative and ask for a challenge or discounts using the Enterprise Skills initiative. And this is complementary to the one important step in your adoption roadmap is the functional domain. So the enterprise data means that all things managed centrally, themes like data sources like SAP or Salesforce or largest data sources are not easily to thank you, Nikki, to use in Power BI, and maybe data sensitivity is an important part of doing it central. We are doing all 3 steps in Power BI in Heijmans. Managed service, self-service is our data platform from which we share the data from, and then people can build their reports on top of that, and they can combine it with their departmental data with like assets or finance or sales. But we have a bunch of colleagues that are just building projects of their own, and that's fine. The importance of a central data platform can help you offer cleansed and structured and defined and documented source of data. So it will lower the threshold for people to build reports on with data that they are recognized. That is, of course, cleansed and structured and aligned with the functional department, functional leaders for SAP, for instance, before it is being distributed to semantic models. And a great thing happens is that people are getting more and more involved. They are actively more contributing to the data platform. This should be better, getting ideas from the inside. And where they have Excel or OneDrive or SharePoint, sometimes it gives a lead to the SAP team, the Enterprise Resource Planning team, for instance, to add a new functionality inside the source, which is always the best when it concerns your process. And it creates a feedback loop, getting better each day. And it's not always very formal, and I'm meaning that people are on the Viva Engage platform, on work discussions. They are talking about how to improve the product, and in this way, something that was informal and known in data information, but not actually, it was in Excel, so like certain percentages or thresholds. They go into the data platform or even inside the source. And in this process, it's important to, as an administrator or as a team of central developers, that you agree with each other certain ways of working and organizing, like naming conventions. It adds data lineage and visibility to your data. And doing this, making your data platform available, and using a transparent data lineage and way of working, like the medallion architecture with bronze, silver, gold. This will help your development stage mature, and that Power BI and Fabric products will be used in customer agreements. I want to finish with this on this point. And what I've learned, it was a very big challenge for me to shape my story within 1 hour. I have other modules available that I need some time to adapt and change, but this was very valuable for me to learn how to fit a story into the presentation. And I would like to thank you all, and New Stars of Data, and Ben and Johanna and Neki, for helping me, and my mentors, and all the people who looked over my presentation in the past weeks, giving me more focus. But I hope to see you at another event soon.